And also the DF51B are NPI products that are going to be released after today's session. So exciting news on that we're bringing to you 2 new products today. So as well as then some enhancements to the millimeter wave family. So, okay, so without further delay, I am going to introduce Tak Endo to get us started today on the BK22. Tak, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time today. Let me explain about newly released BK22 series. BK22 is a 0.4 millimeter pitch, 15 amps capable, fully armored hybrid FPC to board connector. 2 key features are firstly high power supply with compact form factor where power contact can run 15 amps, low profile of 0.7 millimeter height, and narrow depth of 2.3 millimeter. And secondly, a robust, fully armored design that safeguards against housing damage during mating. And key competitive advantage is reliable connection with wide effective mating length and high connector extraction force. Uh, Scott, appreciate your posting the first question for today.
You got it, Tak.
Thank you.
All right, our first poll question of the day. What power range do you get for micro-sized FPC to board connectors like the BK22?
All right. And BK22 has compact form factors with low profile of 0.7 millimeter height and narrow depth of 2.3 millimeter, which is beneficial especially for sleek devices like smartphones, wearables, where board space is very much limited. Next page, please. Thank you. BK22 can run 15 amps with its power contacts. This shows temperature rise when running up to 15 amps, and temperature rise value is 25.4 degrees C, well below the limitation of 30 degrees C. And BK22 has a robust, fully armored design that safeguards against housing damage during mating. When Hirose say fully armored, that means all the islands which are subject to hard hit and be broken while mating are fully covered with protective metal like this. Scott, could you post a second question for today? And everyone, please go ahead and answer. Sorry.
Here we go. Second question. For low profile FPC to board connectors like the BK22, have you gotten requests for minimum effective mating length? Please answer the question.
Okay, from here is competitive advantage. When compared with a leading and well-compared competitor, that is company M's one, BK22 achieves more reliable connection with wider effective mating length. When effective mating length is long, it is less likely to occur accidental electrical disconnection by shock and vibration. And this is the other factor comparison for reliable connection. BK22 has stronger connector extraction force that again make it less likely to occur accidental electrical disconnection by shock and vibration. And BK22 can be used for versatile applications, mainly for internal power connection for smartphone, wireless earphone, wearables, VR, AR glass, tablet, note PC, and so on. And BK22 is used as power connector for battery and interface connection like this. For interface, when putting interface connector on FPC like this, customer can benefit from eliminating the need for tight PCB and chassis alignment. This is a case study. BK22 are used by smartphones, 9 models, and VR device, 1 model. And lastly, let me introduce similar products, which is BM50. BM50 prioritizes compact design with contact pitch of 0.35 millimeter, stack height of 0.6 millimeter, and depth of 2.0 millimeter. On the other hand, BK22, today's product, prioritizes ease of operation with wider self-alignment range of 0.47 millimeter for pitch direction and 0.405 millimeter for depth direction. This is quick recap of BK22. BK22 is a 0.4 millimeter pitch, 15 amp capable, fully armored hybrid FPC2 board connector. Two key features are, firstly, high power supply with compact form factor where power contact can run 15 amps, low profile of 0.7 millimeter height, and narrow depth of 2.3 millimeter. Secondly, a robust, fully armored design that safeguards against housing damage during mating. And key competitive advantage is reliable connection with wide effective mating length and high connector extraction force. BK22 can be used for versatile applications. It's perfect for internal power connection for smartphone, wireless earphone, wearables, and so on, where board space is very much limited. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tack.
Tack, I had an inquiry yesterday for a customer looking at the BK22 for a battery application. So it's pretty exciting that the training was yesterday, and we had somebody inquire yesterday afternoon about the exact same product and application that you highlighted. So it's super exciting, folks. It's a great product to highlight with your customers dealing with small form factor devices. Pretty cool stuff.
Okay. And as I mentioned, that BK22 is a new MPI release. We'll be releasing it to distributors here imminently. So that's a new product that's coming everyone's way here.
Yes.
Dave, jump in and tell us more about the millimeter wave product additions.
millimeter wave edition. So hello everybody, and as we talked at the beginning, we got a few different topics we're covering today. Tech just obviously covered the BK22, really cool product. I'm going to be talking about some extensions to the millimeter wave product lines. There are some additions to our vertical launch type products. Let me go ahead and get my slide to advance here for you. Hirose has added some new extended performance range coaxial connectors for high frequency applications. And if you're not familiar with these types of products, they include things like the 2.92, 2.4, and 1.85 millimeter connections that are commonly found in high-speed data equipment testing, or testing equipment for high-speed data devices. Think of things like routers and network switches and high-end computing systems. The chipsets that are using those, the test equipment that's using those applications use this. On this slide here, I showed a little chart here. It kind of does a comparison between what the part numbers you may have seen before. We've added the dash SA at the end of the part number now. That is the extended performance versions of these products. So let's see, let me get my slide to advance here. There it goes. Sorry about that. Based on some direct customer support and feedback, we extended both the electrical performance and, more importantly, the temperature range of our vertical launch connectors. First, let's start by talking about the mounting of these products. As many of you are already aware, the Hirose connectors feature a screw-down mount, allowing these connectors to be very easily reusable and reconfigured for new test boards. The products have a common mounting pattern between the 2.92, 2.4, and 1.85 millimeter versions. This means a customer can easily update their test port interface without changing the PC board layout, saving time and money. Now, that new design product also has extended a little bit further some of the frequency performance on these products, still maintaining our excellent performance long term. The other thing I want to highlight is the new wider temperature range. And this also speaks to the test market that these are typically found in. These have an amazing range of -55 to +125 C. This is significantly better than any other product out there for these types of products. Traditionally, when the temperature cycling is extreme, coaxial connectors can shift internally, resulting in an open or intermittent contact. Through engineering excellence, the new SA versions solve this issue, allowing even more applications to benefit from high-performance test connectors. We've also seen a need to push that frequency, as I mentioned already, even higher. So that is also included with this series. So the temperature and the frequency performance. Let me get to the next one here. So when you look at this temperature cycling that pushes these connectors hard, what we're talking about is fast temperature shock, where the temperature cycles rapidly. And when this is done, portions of the inside of the connector can shift a little bit based on how well they absorb or don't absorb the heat from the environment. And this results in potential for opens. And you can see that in the little spikes on the diagram on the right-hand side. This causes headaches for test engineers who are developing boards because they see a problem, and then what they have to do, they have to take it out of the test chamber and then evaluate. Well, by the time they do the evaluation to look into the details, the connector temperature has normalized and the problem goes away. So this is why designing the connector to work in those more extreme environments is very helpful for those engineers. It saves them time in their troubleshooting and lets them focus exclusively on the performance of their system and their test board. Hirose has eliminated that intermittent electrical issue and prevented any kind of temperatures really from affecting that connector performance. So this is a big benefit for customers in the test lab, and that is really the target market for these items. Scott, if you could insert that millimeter wave one question into the poll at this point in time.
You got it, Dave. Give me 1 second. There we go. Should be coming up. There.
So another benefit with this new SA series is a common electrical optimization pattern. Again, going back to our earlier comment about interchanging connectors, this allows that RF engineer to use a single PC board layout and design for that optimization between the three different models. And we're seeing customers that are sometimes they're working with multiple interfaces, and that's why they need to look at 292, 24, and 185 at the same time, because they want to make sure that the interface is good for what their end use application is. And that's why having a common pattern on a single board is very helpful. And remember, this is designed for that test lab environment. So when they're working with these systems, they want to be able to make changes without having to go through and redesign a new board for each connector family. So this allows them to use a common board, common design between three different connectors. Very much easier for the customers when they're working. Another great benefit from Hirose is the level of local engineering support offered by our company. I've had the privilege of sitting on many of these calls with our RF team, and they've come together to help a customer design a winning solution for their equipment. These folks speak an entirely different technical language that I gotta admit, I can't say I understand it all. But what I do know is the feedback from our customers is positive whenever they're working with our engineering team. And this is a great resource. This support is here in the United States, and we have a great team out on our West Coast. So I want to make sure I mention, reach out to, if you haven't had a situation where you've met Mark Waring. Mark Waring is with our RF group on the West Coast, and he'd love to hear about projects that you're working with on millimeter wave connectors. Certainly can help evaluate those opportunities with you, and potentially, if needed, set you up with the right resources for support. So Mark is a great contact, very familiar with the business, dealing with millimeter waves and connectors, and has worked with all of our customers in that realm. So awesome resource to have on the team. And we have RF engineering folks as well on our West Coast office location that can provide that additional support. Scott, if you could insert the next question into the poll there.
There you go, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Give that a second to go out. So let's take a moment here to talk a little bit about the applications associated with millimeter wave connectors. Let me first start by reminding everyone, these are screw down style connectors, and they are specifically used in the testing environment or lab type environment. These are not meant for usage where you permanently ship something out to the field for a person who does not maintain that equipment. This is really meant for the test lab. They have test boards, they have them out on the bench, they have it hooked up to their equipment, and they need to do analysis and evaluation of test equipment or devices, and they use these connectors. So that's the specific of this market, those screw down style connectors in that testing lab or testing lab environment. The entire reason for that screw mount is that the connectors can be reused on multiple boards. So you just undo the screws, you can reseat them, you can make adjustments in your design as you go through, and reinstall the connectors as part of that. So another neat thing about these is they have a relatively strong average selling price. The ASP is healthy, and so even a small volume sale on these is a good revenue for you. So when you're working with customers, understand that just because it's a smaller volume type of application, you may want to make sure if you're dealing with high speed, let's talk to the test engineering group and make sure that that group is aware of millimeter wave connectors, because they're probably using them, and we can certainly help them out with product and engineering support as needed. That's also a benefit of that simplified PC board pattern. Engineering can utilize that to use multiple connectors, as I mentioned before. So lastly, let's touch a little bit about the competition on these connectors. The early part of your customer interaction will likely focus on the electrical performance of these types of products. And when we look at similarly sized connectors from our competitors, Hirose has the best visual performance of them all. When you combine this with the local engineering support and the common PC board layout, Hirose provides the best total package option in the market for our customers. And that is the end of the millimeter wave section. Any questions on millimeter wave? I didn't see anything in the chat box, but feel free, folks, as we're going through the presentation, if a question comes up, drop it into the chat box and we'll try to make sure we get those answers for you. Okay, I'm going to continue on to the DF51B branch connector. That is our next topic for today. Let's see if I can get this. There it goes. So this is an expansion to the existing DF51 family of products. So if you've been familiar with DF51, we have DF51, we have DF51K, the difference being the location of the latch. And my next slide will have a little bit clearer picture of that latch location. So the branch connector is within that. And this is a part that allows you to use the, you can use the same contacts in the DF11 family. That's the neat thing about the DF51. The branch connector allows you to take that and split it. Take a wire or a set of wires and split it instead of some of the other techniques that are used. So Scott, can you insert our next question?
Coming up right now, Dave.
Awesome, awesome. So the branch connector was developed with, I already went ahead one already. Let me just go back for a second because I didn't mention this. Our branch connector was developed primarily for the robotics market. Things like control signals for motors often originate from a single point, but interconnect with each other throughout the device. The challenge faced by customers is how to minimize connections and terminations while still maintaining some functionality and even serviceability within these products. Here you can clearly see how the branch connector accepts two DF51 sockets on one side and a single socket on the other side. Each contact is split internally in the branch connector. No need for bulky terminal blocks or double wire crimping or hand soldering. I especially see this double wire crimping, which is just asking for long-term failures. There's really a lot of science behind a proper crimp, and jamming two wires into a single contact is just plain bad practice. We see this pretty frequently. A customer will take a contact, let's say it's designed for 22 gauge, and they will shove a couple of 26 gauge or 28 gauge wires into it and crimp and hope it holds. Unfortunately, they lose a lot of the benefit of a proper contact in that situation, and that's where a branch connector can increase that reliability. I didn't mention there, and I had a picture on the slide, this hand soldering is another thing I've seen where they take two wires and splice them together by hand soldering. Hand soldering is a nightmare when it comes to this stuff. All kinds of problems when you deal with hand soldering of a splice. So this diagram here on the page gives a nice visual of what's happening inside for each conductor. One of the advantages of this branch connector is for things like sensors or simple control lines. Starting from one single connection point, each device can be split further off down the line or along a harness. You can drop connections out. This makes the replacement of end components easier in the field, and can also make the assembly process easier since the connectors are used throughout the harness. Very simplified crimping. It isn't some weird crimping of tying a couple of wires together before you crimp. It's very standard. Even these days, you can see a lot of automated crimping work being done in these applications. The most common application we saw in our initial market review was with robotic customers. And there's also potential in office equipment and drones even. Any place you see a larger wire harness, look for opportunities to use the new DF51 branch connector to simplify that wiring. Here you can see an example of an application where a material handling system needed multiple sensors interconnected together. The branch connector eliminated the need for double crimped contacts. Using our highly reliable DF51B series connectors resulted in a clean and easy to maintain sensor harness for this particular customer. They were using that double crimped method before, and they made the switch over to our new branch connector, and part of the reason why we developed this connector in the first place. So very exciting opportunities, especially in that robotics and automation market. So look for that in your customers. I didn't see any chat box questions, Scott. I can move on to the next one if there are no questions.
Nope, go ahead. We'll take questions at the end, Dave.
Cool, no problem. Sample portal. So this has come up a bunch recently, and some of you on this call probably attended a training just recently talking about the sample portal and some of the cool features within that system. Let me first talk about registering for it. So if you are not registered to utilize the sample portal, when you get the presentation, there will be a link inside of it you can look for. Go in there, register a new user. It does take a day or so for your account to be validated. And then once that's been done, actually, I think it's pretty fast now. They'll get you set up so you can enter orders to get some sample products shipped over to you. So be sure to click on that, register a new user. If you already have an account, be sure to use that existing account. When you get in there, you can go ahead and click on this products search and availability button on the screen here. That brings you to, if I can get my slide to advance, that brings you to here, which will give you a part number box. You can type the word sample, just as it looks here. You type that in, you hit that search button on the end, and what this will do is bring up all of the board mounted, or what we call the NPI samples. So if you've traveled with any of the Hirose sales team members and you've seen them demonstrate small board mounted connectors, they already have maybe it's a board mount connector and it's got a piece of flex, if it's a flex connector, or it's a micro board to board type connector, got a little piece of FPC, or it's a wire to board connector and it's already crimped and terminated, so it's kind of a full set. That's what these products here are. These are those demonstration samples that we tend to carry in our sample kits out to the field. So be sure to check that list out if you're going into an account. They're a great way to demonstrate products. You can actually go ahead and add these to an order in the system by clicking on that add to order button. And then once you've done that, if you need to make an adjustment to that line, you go ahead and click on the line number for that item, and then you can then make changes to things like the quantity for the product. And then if you have a reference piece of information you want to place in the customer reference box to help you remember a program or something like that on that specific line, go ahead and you can put that into that section as well. You can add additional samples, can be ordered here as well. Additional part numbers, again, you can type in the word sample into this box and it'll find it. The other thing I want to mention to you is that you can also order the standard regular samples for mounting to a board. And I've used this technique a couple of times where maybe I have a customer that's looking at a wire to board connector, but they may want to test their own wires out for it. And what I'll do is I'll send them the board mount sample, the demo sample with the board mounted to it. And then I'll send them some contacts, and then we set them up with our loaner tool program to get the hand tool so they can crimp this stuff. And that way they can do some testing. They have a board mounted part ready to go. They can just do some physical testing to understand how that works. It's a great tool within the system. And then once you've done and you pick the items you want, you hit the submit request, and you can, and then we'll get a confirmation later in the email. Obviously, make sure all your information, address, and all that stuff is set up correctly for an order. I didn't get into all those details, but I'm sure you can figure it out, no problem. Now, another cool feature of this sample portal system is we've recently added brochures. These are the physical marketing brochures that you've often seen with our sales team that you can hand out to a customer. I know that they're up on our website. You can print them out yourself. That's awesome. But if you want the nice prepared, pre-printed, professionally printed brochures, feel free to, you can put the word brochure and you can see the list of the brochures that are available inside that sample portal. So be sure to check that out. Finally, just want to put a big plug out on our digital online 2023 catalog. I know I have the new stamp here on the slide. I should get rid of that because it's not exactly new now, but that connector selector, awesome tool. It's searchable. You can print individual pages. You can email links on page information. You can take notes about stuff. Before you go to a customer site, you want to take some notes inside of it. You can take some notes in there. You can do a lot of things. It's a really cool tool. There's a link in the presentation, so you can click on that if you haven't used it. Also, with the Hirose sales team, in our signature, we have a link that takes you out to that site. So if you need to access that, please use that tool. It's a great tool to send out to a customer when they're looking for it. It is sorted very neatly into different categories. typically by size based on the family of products, wire to board or flex or micro board to board. Other highlights here, there are application guides on our website. There is things like selection charts, cool tools to help you find the right product. FPC and FFC can be really challenging because there's a lot of options. We have a great tool on our website that allows you to narrow down the focus of your search. And then finally, YouTube, what an awesome tool. Lots of videos on our site, more going up there every week. And we want to make sure that you go to our YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button, make sure notifications on. That way, when we do an update and we post a new video, and Scott's going to be posting some new videos really soon on some of the products we've highlighted today, those will be posted. They'll show up on that channel. You'll get a notification so you know that they're there. Check them out. It's a great tool when you're trying to demonstrate a product to a customer remotely. Lastly, I didn't put it on here. LinkedIn is another great tool. We post all of our video content there as well. And you can love to have you hit the like button on those when you see them, and maybe even repost on occasion. We'd love to see you repost some of that stuff so it gets out to your contact list. That's all I have today.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for Dave or Tack today? Great information, guys. Really good information. So I'm going to open up here. If you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and ask away. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat either. I did post the link to the sample portal in the chat, so the link is there per our request. So that is in the chat.
Great. Must have answered all the questions.
I think you guys were very efficient on presenting your information today.
Yeah, I talk too fast.
Just a reminder, the presentation and the recorded copy of the video is available on the extranet, on the Hirose extranet. So if some of your coworkers were unable to attend, they can grab the recording and the presentation, the PDF of the presentation off of our extranet. That is available to folks there as well. So. All right, one last request. Any questions from anyone before we wrap up today's product focus session? Dave, one more slide, please. Reminder, our October session will be Wednesday, October 11th. So I'll be shooting out an invite for that shortly as we're finalizing the details on our next product focus session. But every Wednesday, 1 o'clock, that second Wednesday of the month, we're hanging out, having our Hirose product focus chat. So I want to thank everyone for attending today. Thank you again to Tack and Dave for the great job and great information. And we will talk to everyone again soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day.